So I'm going to talk on perfect biometry. Can we do better? There are refractive surprises. There are a group of patients who value their hemianopia so much. So when you break the news to them that they require specs after cataract surgery, they are extremely disappointed. And what are the major sources of prediction error? ELP prediction accounts for 35%, axial length 17%, keratometry 10%. Few subjects in the field of ophthalmology are as complex as IOL power calculation formula because a lot of mathematics is involved in the calculation part, and we ophthalmologists are not very fond of mathematics. So what are the hurdles in accurate IOL power calculation? Because there are hurdles in ELP estimation, and we had some algorithms, some assumptions, and these assumptions were that shorter eyes and flatter K have shallow anterior chamber and shorter effective lens position in comparison to longer eyes and steeper K, which have longer effective lens position. But Holliday says there are 9 types of eyes. With normal axial length, you may have shorter or larger anterior segment in 2%, and with normal anterior segment size, you may have 80% may have shorter axial length and 90% may have longer axial length. So relationship between anterior segment and axial length is not proportionate in 80% of the short and 90% of the longer eyes. Assessment of corneal power is the first parameter, and it can be done by either of these machines. But we have to remember that all these machines may give different keratometry reading, not that any machine is better than the other, but for the simple fact that closer you measure to the near the center of the cornea, higher is the power you get because of the prolate shape of the cornea. Manual keratometry estimates at 3.2 millimeter, corneal topography at 3 millimeter, automated keratometry at 2.6 millimeter. Direct measurement of corneal power, the total corneal power, which also includes the posterior corneal power estimation, can be done by Scheimpflug machines like Pentacam, Galilei, and all these other machines. There is role of topography and tomography in IOL power calculation. This is particularly required for screening of patients for premium IOLs, planning incision to control the pre-existing astigmatism. If you want to control spherical abrasion, and you want to measure the total corneal power, in which posterior corneal power is also included. Axial length is the second important parameter, and we must remember that 1 millimeter error in axial length estimation will lead to 2.5 diopter error in IOL power. Immersion A-scan biometry is the one which is quite accurate in contrast to the applanation biometry. Immersion shell requires the use of a Prager shell. And what is the ideal A-scan we are looking for? Anterior lens echo, if it is 90%, the posterior lens echo should be 50 to 70% of the maximum height, and retinal echo should be 75%. And we have to see that after the scleral spikes, the orbital fat spikes should descend very quickly. The gain is very important. Too high or too low a gain, if it is kept, will lead to error, although we require higher gains in dense cataract. Higher the gain, the spike sensitivity is maximized, but the resolution is affected adversely, and the vice versa. There can be error in misalignment. If the probe is not properly aligned, then you may be taking length along the axis towards the optic nerve, which may give a longer length. And that we have to be careful, particularly in longer eyes of myopic eyes, where posterior staphyloma may be there. If we compare immersion A-scan with optical biometer, we'll find that although immersion A-scan is good in most of the cases, optical biometer scores better in posterior staphyloma and silicon oil-filled eyes. Optical biometer is now considered a gold standard, introduced in 1990s. IOL Master 500 came in 1999, and IOL Master 700 made its appearance in 2014. And in 2017, there was integration with Barrett suit and with total keratometry in 2018. These are the various optical biometers. Along with IOL Master 500 and 700, we have Lenstar, Galilei, and so on and so forth. What are advantages of optical biometry? Optical biometry measures to the center of the macula. So it calculates the optical axial length, unlike ultrasonic biometer, which calculates the anatomical axial length. Then optical biometry measures true axial length from the corneal epithelium to the Brooks membrane rather than to the internal limiting membrane. So there is no, the ultrasonic biometry may be shorter by about 200 microns. Accuracy is much better. It is for 2 decimal place, that is 0.012 millimeter for optical axial length compared to ultrasonic, which is 0.12 millimeter. Then it is a non-contact method, more accurate in pseudophakic, aphakic eyes and silicon-filled eyes. More accurate measurements are available in staphylomatous eyes, and the shorter wavelength of light yields more precise axial length compared to the sound wave of ultrasound. IOL Master 700 has incorporated swept source OCT technology. It is more accurate. There is fixation check by showing the foveal pit, and also the anterior corneal curvature is measured by telecentric 3-zone keratometry, and posterior corneal curvature is estimated by swept source OCT technology. It captures a high resolution image which can be linked with Callisto. There is better cataract penetration, and software also includes integration with Haigis T, SRKT, and all these other formulas, including the 4th generation formulas of Holiday 2 and Barrett Universal 2. Lenstar 900 used the principle of optical low coherence reflectometry, and apart from all the parameters measured by IOL Master, it also measures the lens thickness. Galilei G6 Lens Professional combines optical low coherence optical biometry, and along with the all the other parameters, it also estimates 3D anterior chamber analysis, and higher order aberration and total corneal astigmatism is also estimated. Cassini system is another machine where you find that there is analysis of the specular reflection of about 680 colored LEDs for estimation of the anterior corneal curvature, and for the posterior corneal curvature we have 7 additional projected infrared LEDs, so we can have estimation of corneal elevation maps, tangential and axial curvatures, corneal refractive power, and overview of Wernicke's terms for higher order aberration. So this is what Cassini is. The colored LED shows anterior images and the white LED shows the posterior images. Pentacam system, as I told earlier, is based on the Scheimpflug imaging. There is calculation of total corneal astigmatism, geometry of both corneal surfaces, pachymetry, and EKR, which is an important parameter which can be utilized in IOL power calculation. IOL Master 700 software update 1.9 is available with central topography, and this central topography features give us more insights into the central corneal shape. And along with that, now we have Zeiss EQ Mobile, which allows surgeons to transfer their surgical planning data to the cloud, and which can be shifted to the OR. Barrett TrueK with total keratometry formula improves prediction for post-refractive surgery patients, and it has published that it gives better results in 12% additional patients. IOL Master, if we compare IOL Master with Cassini and Pentacam, then we find that IOL Master 700 provides higher total keratometry reading than the two devices. Several factors may account for the clinical relevant differences, because the area of analysis used for calculation of keratometric measurements is different in the two. Keratometry is calculated at 3 millimeter with the Pentacam, and in Pentacam and Cassini topography, whereas in IOL Master, this is estimated over 2.3 millimeter optical zone. And of course, there are different mathematical approaches for keratometric estimation of the posterior corneal shape. So after that, we have to do the calculation of, after that, we have to do the calculation by the IOL power formulas. And the IOL power formulas, if we see that there are different formulas, and now the first generation, second generation, now is the time for the newer formulas. And the newer formulas are the modern formulas, Holiday 2, Hoffer H5, LADAS, Olson, Barrett TrueK, Barrett Universal 2, and Hill RBF calculator. Ray tracing is another method, but and it is available in Oculux package and Olson's Phaco Optics package. And it has been found that ray tracing is equally accurate as the third generation formulas, but it may be superior in odd eyes with extreme axial length and corneal conditions. A limitation of ray tracing is that it is still dependent on accurate estimation of effective lens power. So currently it is not performing the older formulas. Hill RBF formula is based on artificial intelligence, and one more advantage is that it is self-validating. We get the readings either in bounds or out of bounds. Inbound means that system has enough data to support 90% plus minus 0.5 diopter accuracy levels. So this is how, if we get the red dots, it means the data, we don't have the data to match with the patient's data, and green means that we have the data which is similar to the patient's data, and we get the formula can make the estimate of the IOL power. So Barrett Universal 2 formula is recommended for short and long eyes. Along with other parameters, it also measures lens thickness and white to white measurement. So Hill RBF, as I told, is incorporated with LensStar machine, and the predicted accuracy of 90% is there of the target refraction. And if we compare these two modern day formulas, Barrett Universal 2 and Hill RBF, we'll be surprised that they use different premises. Both are current, both are more sophisticated, but both these methods give us recommendations that are within plus minus 0.25 to 0.5 diopters of each other. Olsen formula is particularly useful for short eyes, and LADA super formula combines the best performing portions of third and fourth generation formula. Kane formula is again becoming very popular, and it uses, besides axial length keratometry, anterior chamber depth, lens thickness, corneal central corneal thickness, also takes into account gender of the patient to make such prediction. So what should I do? Should I use multiple formulas and compare or average the results? Doc Cox says use multiple formulas and then average the results. But Holliday Barrett says that use specific formulas for specific situations, and that is how we should go about it. So what is the best formula for very short eyes? The initial literature used to say that Hoffer Q is very good for the smaller eyes, but the newer publications suggest that median and not mean of Holliday 1, Holliday 2, Barrett and Olsen formulas, or simply we can use Barrett and Hill RBF formulas in eyes shorter than 22 millimeter, because this is one problematic situation. Problem in longer eyes that we are going to get hyperopic surprise, because the biometry tends to measure axial length longer than it actually is. So what should be the formula in longer eyes? Three formulas are found to be working very well. That is Wang-Kok modification of Holliday 1, Barrett Universal 2, and expanded version of Hill RBF. This is what Wang and Kok optimization does. We have to convert the axial length by multiplying it with a certain constant, and that is how we use this modified axial length in the formulas. And once this is a publication in 2020 in JCS, I'll be needing 2 minutes more. That they have found that Hill RBF and Kane formula scores over other formulas. So one formula fits all. If we want to use one formula, Barrett or Hill RBF can be used. Interoperative aberrometry is another technique which can be used, because there is no accuracy limit of preoperative measurements and eliminates the variability of calculations and assumptions. Full-mount intraocular lens is a software that uses a method of analysis called Markov chain Monte Carlo process. And this surgeon can use the appropriate IOL power because it gives us a probability instead of a single emmetropic power. Universal IOL calculator was developed by Samir Sayek, and he designed the online calculator. And instead of proposing a new IOL power calculation formula, the surgeon is again provided with a choice of various formula where he can use these different formulas and take average of these readings. The cataract surgery guidelines of Royal College of Ophthalmology says that 85% are within should be within one target of target refraction, and 55% within 0.5 target. And accuracy is worse for more complex eyes, particularly in the shorter eyes. So why we are stuck at 90% accuracy? The problem is not the formula. Problem is the limit is the precision of the measurements. The least count of keratometry is still 0.25 diopter, axial length is 0.1 millimeter, and the anterior chamber depth is 0.2 millimeter. So these error limits keep us at about 90% level of the target outcome. So if we want to perfect our IOL power prediction, we have to use newer devices, newer formulas, and optimize A constants. And the pearls for improving are that please know your biometry device well. Validate the biometry with a second reading. If you find the readings are not very consistent, if axial length measurement is different between the eyes, check the measurement with immersion biometry. Importance of ocular surface cannot be overemphasized. And if implanting a toric lens, also use topography. Another thing is that besides measurement error, the range ISO permitted tolerance with the different IOL power is also helps us creep some error. With less than 15 diopter, ISO permitted tolerance is 0.3 diopter, and more than 25 to 30, it is 0.5 diopter. Suppose I want to implant 21.3 diopter, but the lens available is 21.5 diopter, and the error permitted is 0.4. So what I'll be having is 0.59 diopter of error because of this ISO permitted tolerance. So what is the future? Future is version 3.0 of Hill RBF IOL power calculation formula, and it has also been found that Hoffer QS formula is gives result at par with Barrett Universal 2. So we are all creatures of habit. 80% accuracy level within 0.5 diopter is acceptable, but 90% 0.5D diopter accuracy is achievable. So we should strive for what is achievable and not get satisfied with what is acceptable. Experience is giving name to learning from our mistakes, and smartness is learning not only from your own, but also from others' mistakes. Let us not only become experienced, but also smart. We are now at the verge of level of accuracy for refractive outcomes never before seen in ophthalmology. But to fully enjoy this, please use validated measurements, optimize your lens constants, and adapt to newer technologies. Thank you everyone for your kind and patient hearing. And these are the gentlemen and ladies which have brought us to this extremely high level of accuracy of IOL power calculation.